Hey everybody. So a little while back, somebody commented on one of my videos. I think it was one of the videos I did on the Buck Model 110 Folding Hunter. He asked a question: if I could grab a knife with 30 seconds notice of leaving home. So we got some kind of extreme scenario here, some kind of bug out scenario where a catastrophic event has occurred. Probably an attack by the Russians or Chinese or something. In our current climate today in the United States of America. I live not too far outside of Washington, D.C., which of course could be a big target for some type of terrorist attack, as we saw, in 20 years ago, up this fall with the attack at the Pentagon. I used to live just a couple miles away, shopped at the Costco right across the street from the Pentagon. You know, it's bad things could happen like that where I live. And I may need to flee with my family to some kind of undisclosed location if such an event were to occur. Bug out stuff doesn't necessarily mean, foreign attacks. It could be, acts of nature, tornadoes, floods, hurricanes, and that such. But it's really not, those really aren't common where I live. I live far enough inland that when a hurricane comes through the east coast of the United States, that I just really get a lot of rain, and my home is not right next to a large body of water where I would have to worry about flooding. There's a creek nearby that you've seen in many of my videos, but that is downhill from where I live, so there's really no real chance of a flood. And I live in a townhouse built on top of a concrete base, so there's no water seepage coming in. Tornadoes aren't really common in my area. Could it happen? Sure, but it's unlikely. I'm not like living in Kansas like Dorothy and Toto or anything. But anyways, he asked what I would grab, if I got 30 seconds to leave the house. We're grabbing two. We're grabbing one fixed blade and one folder. So we're grabbing two knives, just to have those options there. And I have on this table here in front of me a couple of options that I weighed through in my head before posting this video. We'll look at the fixed blades over here first. The first one was my K-Bar USMC. I said this is a knife that every American should own. It's a great knife, but it's not like the ultimate knife. Look up Donnie B all day. He created his version of this and made it bigger and badder and full tang, and I think really this would not be the ultimate fixed blade that I would grab in such a scenario, due to the tang. If folks is in there, you can see that is the tang. That's how wide the K-bar is through the handle. When you got this big blade up here, it's a big difference. And while it's a good, strong, sturdy knife with hard use that could come, heading to the hills or whatnot, what we want to call it, this could bend, and we don't want that because we're just grabbing one fixed blade knife. A reason I did want to take this is because the K-bar isn't overly thick. It's about 5/32 of an inch, 0.15 inches or so thick, which is not, there's more overbuilt knives out there, and this would be a knife both good for fighting, like you may need in some type of catastrophic event, and it's thin enough to also be good at processing game that you might need to do when heading for the hills into the wilderness of the United States of America, if such a thing really exists, at least east of the Mississippi anyway. So that was a factor in perhaps choosing the K-bar, but ultimately it did not make the final cut. That goes to the Tops Operator 7 that I got in raffle winnings from Choir Boys Cutlery, I guess last month maybe. This is a 7-inch blade, like the K-bar. It's got a little bit less of a cutting edge than the K-bar due to this large choil here, but I don't think that's a disadvantage. I think it's an advantage. I don't know, we got a little dog coming to visit over here. I think this is her first appearance in a video. Huh? But anyways, so this is over 1/4 of an inch thick at 0.31 inches. So, you know, this will handle probably any hard, you know, bug out camp tasks. Like, I would have no qualms trying to process firewood with this knife. It's got that 0.31 inch thick all the way through. This is a tough knife. It's also got you know, this double guard here for combat safety, I guess, just like the K-bar. Actually, let me pull that back out and give you the Captain Electro thickness comparison there. Pretty big, huh? Now, as far as game processing goes, I think the K-bar would probably be better than this, just because of how thick this knife is. You know, think of your kitchen knives. They're not 0.31 inches thick. They're, I don't know. I don't even know what they are. Super thin for slicing. Now, due to the, you know, that, I mean, it's not 0.31 down at the edge, obviously. But it can still get the job done, I think. You know, it's not the first choice for that, but it would get the job done. And no hesitation, I would baton through some firewood or chop down, you know, smaller trees with this knife. No issues. It's made out of 1075 steel. This is made out of 1095. Pretty similar, I assume. Both would sharpen up relatively easily, and I think the 1075 would be a little bit softer than the 1095. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong, and sharpen up even a little bit easier. And that's a plus. Another plus with this that the K-bar doesn't have is this choil, you know, for, you know, putting your finger there, choking up for some finer tasks work, you know. So that is why I went with the Tops. Now, folding knives, I have this big bad SOG Seal XR. It's almost it's got a solid 8 ounces, flipper axis lock mechanism, about a 4-inch blade, and it's 3/16 of an inch thick. But this is not the knife I'm going to choose. And you're like, oh, that's probably crazy, Isaac. The reason I'm not choosing this one is due to the thickness. Because I'm choosing this extra thick Tops Operator 7. The folding knife I'm going with is my Buck 110 Pro, because it is a much thinner knife, which would give me that advantage in food preparation that, you know, I don't get with the fixed blade tops operator 7. I would get with my folding knife the Buck 110 Pro. This blade is also made out of S30V steel, which would have a higher edge retention for those finer type tasks. You know, this is not something I'm going to chop down trees with or baton firewood with. This I could definitely clean smaller game like a squirrel or rabbit or something that this would just mutilate. So that is why I'm choosing the Buck 110. You may also ask, well, why wouldn't you want a modern flipping mechanism and lock like this? Well, in this type of catastrophic event where I only have 30 seconds to leave the house, I feel like, you know, something that this life has more moving parts and something may go wrong with that. You could also ask, well, what if you need to deploy it quickly to defend yourself? I'll have this. It deploys much faster than that. I don't have to flip anything or flick anything. I just pull it out. Good to go. Could I defend myself with the Buck 110? I mean, sure I could. It's very sharp and very pointy. The reach isn't as long as this. It's almost as long as the SOG. It's not a huge difference. It's less than an inch. I think this is 3.9. This is 3.75. So I'm choosing the Buck. S30V steel. This is S35. Some people say the S35 is easier to sharpen, but you know, we're not chopping wood with this. We can keep it stropped, because I'm going to wear, if I'm heading out into the hills, I'm going to wear my leather boots. So I'll always have a strap. I'll probably bring one as it's in my kit too. So Buck 110 Pro and the tops operator 7 are the two knives that I would grab if I got to run out of the house in 30 seconds. What would you grab? Let me know in the comments or make your own video about it. Talk to you later.